Thanks. Hello, imperfect person. I'm also one of you. It has come to my imperfect little attention that the US president has done this.
Next, this is an executive order relating to the use of paper straws. Nobody really likes paper straws.
Number one trending. Paper straw was number one trending for 3 days or something.
The environmental impact of plastic straws versus paper straws is entirely unclear. Entirely unclear. And left consumers all over the country wildly dissatisfied with their straws. And we're asking your Domestic Policy Council to look holistically at this issue.
We're going back to plastic straws. These things don't work.
Why is your forehead all red?
We're going back to plastic straws. These things don't work. I've had them many times, and on occasion they break, they explode. We're going back to plastic straws. I think it's okay. And I don't think that plastic's going to affect a shark very much as they're munching their way through the ocean. Okay.
Now, I'm not here to dwell on the musings of a convicted felon of the world's fastest declining superpower. No, I'm here to focus on the straw, the long contended little subject of sustainability debate, the scapegoat, the martyr, and the icon of being green. Hated by sustainability buffs for taking all the heat, but still pushed by popularity all over the world for its icon of greenness. But what if I told you it represented something bigger? What if I told you the banning of the plastic straw demonstrates our power as a collective, as the people, when we have a goal? And the reversal of this ban shows the incompetence of the people in power to focus purely on what is trending as a mild inconvenience for its citizens, but also the complete failure of governments to support their own economic systems that they've built their entire world on. Let's break it down. There are three main components here. The people collectivizing to ban one silly thing, the economic system shocked into action, and the complaining. We've seen the video, you know, the one with the turtle. It went viral in 2015. The straw became our scapegoat, the poster boy, if you will, of our plastic pollution crisis. Our consumers' habits were directly affecting the natural systems of the plants and animals around us. And yeah, we had viral, clear, undoctrinated evidence. Well, guess what happens when enough people care about that damn turtle and feel sorry for it? Everyone and their great-grandmother were talking about the implications of our waste crisis on our planet. Except some people's focus was on one thing, and one whole only: the plastic straw. Jackie Nunez became known for her campaign, The Last Plastic Straw, that started in 2011, 4 years before the turtle video. But now she had the fuel to NOS boost her campaign. In 2018, a Starbucks worker, Stephanie Matillo, got nearly 150,000 signatures to ban the plastic straw from stores, and was even backed by the double-tailed naked mermaid herself. In 2019, the plastic straw bans began in the US, starting in Washington, and it wasn't long for the rest of the Western world to follow. In WA, we took it a step further. We've tried banning all consumer single-use plastics. These are still phasing into effect now. And whilst it's marginally better than focusing on just the straw, there's a bunch of reasons why this doesn't make the dent that we want it to. But I'll talk about that in another video. It worked. The people came together over a single issue, a silly little plastic straw, and they rode that momentum of the turtle to make global systemic change.
No more plastic straws.
But the turtle represented so much more than the plastic straw. It represented our consumerist tendencies, our obsession over convenience, and the greed of meeting demands of consumers,
or creating them,
just for the sake of money. Focusing in on the straw is so silly. It doesn't tackle the main issues. It doesn't even touch on the main plastic polluters in our oceans. Well, the sustainability community has been screaming this from the rooftops for about 5 years now.
The straw is not the point.
But in the face of it all being repealed because of some blonde toupeed reality TV show host, it kind of is the point. Whilst the straw itself isn't the main problem, the fact that we as a people managed to ban some ridiculous consumer product and force not only the governments of the world to intervene in their markets, but for huge global corporations to reconsider their production of these products and actually change. That's f***ing massive. The people did that. We collectivized, we created systemic change over one silly little straw. Holy hell, imagine what else we could achieve if we just all collectivized and managed to get on the same. Straws are thought to have been used by ancient Sumerians about 5,000 years ago. It's said that they invented like long, skinny, tubular things to essentially get to the sweet, sweet beer that sat underneath all the layers of fermentation. In 1888, some dude filed a patent for the paper straw. And around the 1930s, some dude filed a patent for the bendy paper straw because apparently his daughter was struggling to drink a milkshake. Loved by hospitals and 3-year-old girls alike, bendy paper straws were all the rage. Around the 60s, plastics were coming into fashion. A big old plastic company bought the bendy paper straws company, and bada bing, bada boom, we have bendy plastic straws. And to quote, "It was better, it was cheaper, and they didn't explode." Fast forward to 2019, when the plastic straw revolution was happening. No more of this silly little plastic thing that's only useful for a handful of consumable items. These companies that developed these products were kind of freaking out. Some jumped on the metal straw train, some jumped on the glass straw train, but none of these were able to produce at the rate that was needed by hospitality and retail venues. What are the retailers and consumers actually going to do? Well, necessity is the mother of invention. When was the last time you used a straw? I bet it was just yesterday. Actually, I had one this morning. Yeah, I had one with my banana milk this morning. Whenever you last used a straw, you're probably the type of person that enjoys the ease and convenience of sipping your favorite beverage without losing that lippy. You are also likely someone who has had to gripe with the garbage that is paper straws. Them cracking? Yeah, I mean, yeah, them going soggy. Or them just being absolutely feral, and why do we revert to the worst option, and why haven't we gone back to plastic yet? Bro. Huh? There are better options. Yeah, dude, there's literally new straws being invented all the time with like better and more sturdy materials. Like metal straws. Metal straws, yeah. My little brother used them because he had bad teeth and it was just like a whole thing. And he had to keep stopping the sugar getting to your teeth. But they're expensive and hard to clean. And I barely use straws when I'm at home. And it's just the convenience of having one on the go and making sure that I don't spill my iced decaf oat milk dirty chai all over my brand new thrifted cable knit sweater. Well, then there's wheat straws and sugarcane straws. They're byproducts and are actually biodegradable and pretty sturdy as a straw itself. And there's probably heaps of others we've never heard about. So if there's all these options, why has cheese puff reverted to plastic? And why are we still stuck with paper straws? In very basic economics, when demand goes down, the supply needs to shift with it. If there is an issue with the supply or the demand curve not moving how it's expected, then occasionally it's up to governments to intervene. This intervention can force a market to move as anticipated. For example, banning the use of plastic straws for retailers essentially eradicates all demand for them. It is then up to the suppliers to meet the new demands of the consumers through the use of non-plastic straws. Because the manufacturers had only stopped producing paper straws around the 80s or so, it was probably a pretty simple change to move back to paper straw production rather than reinvent the wheel. But there are other options. Wheat straws were invented around the 1800s. Sugarcane straws utilize a byproduct from the production of sugar, and so it's an item that would otherwise be thrown away. And then both of these options biodegrade into soil in a matter of days. This sounds like the Holy Grail. It sounds like we've, beaten the final boss. But, as with all sustainable options, the way the thing biodegrades
Isn't the only thing that needs to be considered.
how much water goes into the production of paper straws, how much water goes into the production of sugarcane or wheat straws versus the plastic straws. What about the cost? Would manufacturers need new machinery? How many new resources would need to be taken out of the earth to build this new machinery? How much energy would it cost? Is it more than plastic? Is it more than paper? How much emissions would it produce? Would there be more emissions having to be produced to get the wheat or the paper straws? Which ones are actually more sustainable? I don't have the answers for you. I don't work in straw manufacturing, but I do have my logic. Logically, shifting to a process that diverts waste from landfill is biodegradable without plastics and has a sturdier option that consumers are more satisfied with is probably the way the market would have shifted because of the basic supply and demand curves. Over time, manufacturers would be competing to be this producer, competing to come up with cheaper and more efficient options, we will eventually see wheat or sugarcane or something else entirely overtake the flimsy paper straws we have to shove in our bubble tea. But alas, we have a contender. Someone who has immeasurable power to seemingly sign away whatever he wants, coming in and supporting big oil. His guy on that left side, he kind of has a point.
Entirely unclear.
The specific impact of plastic straws alone in the environment, it would actually be really hard to measure and justify. But plastic crisis is hard evidenced. There are hundreds of studies about the microplastics that are being leached constantly into our sources of food and then into our bloodstreams. And so why would his option be to go back to plastic? So he could support big oil companies purely because consumers were so outraged over silly plastic and paper straws that it was trending for 3 days? Now, we still have a long way to go. However, I want you to remember the plastic straw ban represents so much more than just the removal of a dumb consumable. It demonstrates the inherent strength of people as a collective when moving towards one goal. Don't say yes to that plastic hole. Or we could just use the sippy lids.
The sippy lids.
Oh, the sippy lids.
The sippy lids.
Yeah. Sippy lids. Sippy lids.